Hi guys. Okay, last maths one today, I promise, and then I'll try and stick some art on for you and we'll do perspective. But I've realised we haven't actually touched much on multiplication. And we teach two methods in year 4. One method is just a recap from year 3, which is grid. And one method which we move on to, which is short multiplication for speed, and before they go on to short and long multiplication in year 5 and 6. So I'm going to show you grid method because it's really simple. It's very much like partitioning, and the kids learn partitioning very early on, end of year 2, beginning of year 3. So they should be masters at it. And then we'll go on to a little bit of short multiplication, and you can see how they look side by side. Okay, so number 1 for grid, let's do a really simple one. So let's do 36 times 3. And we tend to set that out in a grid. It doesn't really matter which way we do our grid, but I'm going to show you this way. So let's do 3 times, so we've got 3 at the top of my grid. I'm going down, I'm going to separate 36 into its 2 numbers that it's made of. So 36 is made of 3 tens, which is 30, and how many ones? 6 ones. Okay, so I'm going to separate it into my 30 and my 6 ones. Hope this is clear for you. I know I'm writing it quite small. Okay. So I've got now separated, so it's very much like partitioning. I've got 3 times 30. Now children, you know that because it ends in a 0, I can ignore the 0 and do 3 times 3 as long as I remember to put the 0 back on the answer. And that's a common mistake that children make. So they forget to put the 0 back on. So 3 times 3 is 9, which is a square number, 6 times itself. And then we've got to put our 0 back on, so it's really easy. 3 times 3 is 9, put a 0 back on, so 30 times 3 is 90. Then I look down and I've got my 6 all on its own, so 6 times 3 is easy because I know my 6 times table, 6, 12, 18. So put my 18. Now I used to do my grid the other way, and Jack showed me to put it this way because then when I need to add these 2 together, I can just do it really simply. Thank you, Jack. So 0 and 8 is 8, and 9 and 1 is 10. So I put them in 108. Easy peasy. Okay, if I wanted to check that using the inverse, what's my inverse to multiply? Can anyone remember? It's divide. So if 36 times 3 is 108, 108 divided by 36 should be 3. So don't forget, always check with your inverse, or at least say it so you remember how to use it. Let's do another one using grid, and I'll spread it out to make it a little bit bigger. So let's do 152 times 4. Get a little bit trickier. So I'm going to have my times 4 at the top, and then I'm going to separate my numbers. Now here it's a little bit trickier because I've got 100 and I've got 50 and I've got 2. And we've got to be a little bit more aware of how many zeros we've got when we're multiplying, although this one's quite simple. So we've got 4 times 100. Now I could do 4 times 1 and put my zeros back on, but I don't really need to because it's just 100. So 4 times 100, 100, 200, 300, 400. Nice and easy. And then I've got 4 times 50. Now we should be able to count in 50s in year 3. So 50, 100, 150, 200. Or I could have done 4 times 5, which is 20, and put my 0 back on. Now I've got 4 times 2, which is easy peasy, it's 8. And you notice how I put it under the other ones, because then when I add them now together, it makes it really easy. So 0, 0 and 8, 0 and 0, and 4 and 2 is 6. So remember, if 152 times 4 is 608, well, 608 divided by 4 should be 152. And you can use your bus stop to check it. Let's show you how we can do both of those sums using short multiplication. Just pinch a little bit of my blue tack and I'll do it like this. So we did 36 times 3. Okay, and let's set that out in a grid. So 36, not in a grid, sorry, in short method, times 3. And my 1's digits are under each other and my 10's digits would be. So we've got 3 times 6. What is 3 times 6? 6, 12, 18. So I would put, that's what 18 looks like. I'm going to put my 1's number underneath the other 1's numbers. And I'm going to carry that 1 over here to add on to this column once I've worked this out. So 3 times 3, remember I'm timesing, not adding. 3 times 3, 3, 6, 9. Then I've got to add that 1 on, which makes 10. And I put my 10 in the box. There's a couple of new things for children here to get their head around when they start doing this method. First of all, we haven't got a number here. So we're using the 3 in the 1's column to affect the 6 in the 1's column and the 3 in the 10's. We've also got to remember that we're multiplying, not adding and not taking away. But this one, we are adding, which is why I tend to put the add symbol. Other teachers don't always do that, but I like a reminder for myself. Let's do the one underneath. Because it is a little bit trickier. So we have got to set it out a little bit more carefully. We've got 152 times 4. And I've cleverly left no room above it. Oh, I have. Right, have a little. So we've now got 4 times the 2, which is nice and easy. 4 times 2 is 8. Then we've got 4, so I've done 4 times 2, and then I'm going to do 4 times the 5. 4 times 5 is 20, but remember, only our 1's digit went in the box. There we are. The 2 has to be carried over to add on. So I'm going to add 2 there above the 1. And now I have 4 times 1. 4 times 1 is 4. Add my 2. 4, 5, 6. 608. Short multiplication is a little bit tricky for the children because they don't really cover it at all in year 3, whereas other methods might be touched on. And we really focus on this grid multiplication. And if they prefer grid, we often let them go back to it to double check their answers. But this is a quicker, more efficient method that we do need to move on to, looking ahead for year 5 and 6. I'm going to bring you a little bit closer because I'm aware that the numbers don't help that they're backwards. But I'll let you have a little look at what it looks like. Okay. Hope that wasn't too confusing. Thank you very much.